Welcome back to our channel, where we love to dive deep into the thrilling and ever-changing world of our favorite daytime drama. As a viewer who has spent decades watching the residents of Port Charles navigate love, betrayal, and danger, I must say that the upcoming events for the week of July 6th through the 10th are shaping up to be absolutely mesmerizing. We are looking at a monumental shift in the narrative, particularly concerning young Jocelyn. For years, I watched her grow up, expecting her to follow a somewhat traditional path, perhaps getting entangled in the local family drama or corporate intrigue. However, the writers have taken a completely different route, transforming her into a hardened operative. The spoilers reveal that Jocelyn is about to commit to a massive lie regarding her release from the intelligence agency, or rather, her lack thereof. This is a fascinating departure from the original storyline trajectory we might have anticipated for her, where she was merely a college student adjacent to danger, rather than the one pulling the trigger. I find this evolution both terrifying and utterly captivating. Let us rewind for a moment and examine the sheer audacity of what happened last week. Jocelyn took a bold, almost terrifying step when she shot and critically wounded the agency director, Ross. Who could have ever predicted that the young woman we once saw fretting over high school dances would become a lethal force capable of taking down a high-ranking intelligence official? Ross, as we have come to learn, is a treacherous double agent. He has been causing absolute chaos within the espionage world, masquerading as a loyal servant of the intelligence agency while secretly diverting their vast resources to fund his own sinister, villainous schemes. The fact that Jocelyn was the one to uncover and confront this massive betrayal speaks volumes about her character development. She is no longer a bystander. She is an active, dangerous player in a deadly game of international espionage. The physical confrontation between Jocelyn and Ross was nothing short of cinematic, and I found myself on the very edge of my seat. Jocelyn herself took a bullet during this harrowing exchange. Most people would have surrendered to the pain and shock, but not her. Drawing upon a well of inner strength that frankly astonished me, she managed to crawl her way toward a discarded weapon. The sheer willpower required to drag her wounded body across the floor, grab that gun, and take aim at Ross is staggering. She neutralized him and his despicable actions once and for all. This scene alone proves how drastically her storyline has deviated from the typical youthful romance plot. She is exhibiting the ruthless survival instincts usually reserved for seasoned veterans of the underworld or elite spies. Is this the new normal for her? I believe it absolutely is, and it sets a thrilling precedent for her future. The aftermath of this bloody showdown brought another major player onto the scene, and his reaction was incredibly telling. When Z, also known as John, arrived at the chaotic crime scene, one would expect him to be furious or ready to arrest Jocelyn for attacking a director. Instead, the agency boss was profoundly impressed by how she handled the life-or-death situation. Z is a man who values results, efficiency, and cold calculation above all else. Seeing a young, wounded operative take down a rogue director with such precision clearly sparked something in his strategic mind. I find this dynamic incredibly intriguing. In the old days of the show, the agency was often portrayed with a stronger moral compass, but under Z, it feels much more pragmatic and dangerous. His admiration for Jocelyn's lethal efficiency suggests he sees her not as a liability, but as a highly valuable asset that he desperately wants to mold and control. This brings us to the fascinating negotiation that takes place in the bloody aftermath. Jocelyn, showing a cunning intellect that rivals the most seasoned manipulators in Port Charles, agrees to lie in her official statement. She is willing to throw Cassius under the bus, blaming him entirely for the disastrous wrongdoings associated with the Cold Fusion project. Why would she do this? To protect the agency from suffering a catastrophic public relations nightmare after Ross's reign of terror. By covering up the internal failures, she is handing Z a massive victory. But Jocelyn is no fool. She knows the value of the card she is playing. She is not offering this monumental lie out of the goodness of her heart. She wants a high-stakes trade, and this is where the story gets incredibly juicy and complex. What does Jocelyn demand in exchange for saving the agency's reputation? She wants the immediate release of Jason and Valentine. Now, this is a masterstroke of plotting. Jason, her godfather and a man who has always been a protector figure, and Valentine, a complex man with deep ties to the intelligence world. By demanding their freedom, Jocelyn is proving that she understands leverage better than anyone. However, does this bold demand intimidate Z? Not in the slightest. In fact, I strongly believe that this negotiation tactic will only deepen Z's fascination with her. He is looking at a young woman who not only survives gunfights, but also knows how to blackmail the head of a global intelligence network. Will Z agree to her terms? Yes. I think he will pretend to concede, but he is a master of the double cross, and he surely has a hidden agenda of his own. While Jocelyn is busy playing high-stakes chess with international spies, her mother Carly is understandably losing her mind with worry. Carly is currently moving heaven and earth in a frantic effort to pull Jocelyn out of the agency's dangerous grasp. As a longtime fan, I find this role reversal absolutely brilliant. For years, it was Carly who was diving headfirst into danger, associating with mobsters and taking reckless risks, while her family worried sick. Now, Carly is the desperate mother trying to save her child from a life of violence. But the tragic irony is that Jocelyn clearly does not want to go anywhere. She has tasted the adrenaline, the power, and the purpose that comes with being an agent. So, where does this storyline lead? It leads directly to a massive, unavoidable collision between a fiercely protective mother and an immovable intelligence agency. The spoilers for the week of July 6th indicate a fiery and explosive confrontation between Carly and Z. Carly is not one to back down from a fight, and she is going to march right up to the head of the agency and demand that he terminate Jocelyn's status as an agent immediately. Carly's maternal instinct is in full overdrive, and she firmly believes she can bully or threaten Z into letting her daughter go. But Z is not a local mobster or a petty criminal. He commands a global network of assassins and spies. He is not going to be intimidated by an angry mother from Port Charles. Will he politely decline her request? No. The spoilers suggest he is going to take things in a completely unexpected and highly inappropriate direction, adding a bizarre layer of tension to their interaction. Instead of addressing Carly's very real, very desperate demands regarding her daughter's life, Z is apparently going to try and flirt with her. Can you imagine the sheer audacity of this man? He is standing opposite a furious, terrified mother, and he decides this is the perfect moment to make a romantic advance. Naturally, this arrogant behavior is going to infuriate the fiery blonde. Carly has never been one to tolerate disrespect, especially when her children's lives are on the line. How will she react to this blatant dismissal of her concerns? She is going to deliver a stinging, well-deserved slap right across Z's face. It is a classic, deeply satisfying soap opera moment. But we must ask ourselves, what is the psychological fallout of this slap? Does it anger Z? Or does it perversely make him respect Carly more? Despite the physical blow, I have a strong suspicion that Z might actually enjoy the fire and passion Carly displays. He is a man who thrives on conflict and dominance, and Carly's fearless pushback might just intrigue him further. Perhaps a part of him does not want to completely alienate her, which makes his next moves highly unpredictable. Will he tell Carly exactly what she wants to hear? I believe he will look her in the eye and promise to release Jocelyn, granting her freedom from the agency. But this is where the deception deepens. Z is a master manipulator. He might verbally agree to let Jocelyn go, while simultaneously setting up a covert operation. Could he secretly assign Jocelyn a highly classified mission right there in Port Charles, forcing her to live a double life right under her mother's nose? This brings us to the crux of Jocelyn's massive dilemma. No one in her everyday life was ever supposed to know that she was working for the agency. It was meant to be her darkest, most closely guarded secret. But a series of unfortunate and chaotic events led to her hidden career choice being spectacularly exposed. We have to look back to a few months ago when she was dispatched on a supposedly routine assignment to the Five Poppies Resort. It was supposed to be a standard intelligence gathering mission, but fate had other plans. That was the exact moment she accidentally crossed paths with her godfather, Jason. The shock of that encounter still resonates. Imagine Jason, a man who has spent his life protecting her from violence, discovering that she is a trained operative, That chance meeting blew the lid off her secret, and the fallout is still raining down on all of them. The head writers, Elizabeth and Chris, recently dropped some tantalizing hints about the summer storyline in a recent interview. They specifically noted that Jocelyn will have to face intense opposition from Carly. More importantly, they teased that Jocelyn will commit to a lie that will generate massive consequences lasting for years to come. What could this monumental lie possibly be? Based on all the evidence, it is clear that Jocelyn is going to look her mother in the eye and falsely claim that she has severed all ties with the agency. She will pretend to be a normal young woman again, perhaps returning to her studies or a mundane job, all while secretly carrying out dangerous missions for Z. This kind of deep, foundational deception is guaranteed to destroy trust and shatter relationships when the truth inevitably comes to light. Looking at Z's strategic mind, it makes perfect sense that he would agree to release Jason and Valentine as Jocelyn requested, but with a massive hidden string attached. He will likely make a private, off-the-books deal with Jocelyn where he frees her friends, but she remains bound to the agency, operating in the shadows. Considering her quick thinking, her ability to survive a gunshot wound, and her heroic takedown of a rogue director, I would not be surprised if Z actually gives her a significant promotion. She might become his top covert asset in Port Charles. The thrill of the danger is clearly calling to her, and she is willing to sacrifice her honesty with her family to answer that call. But how long can a young woman maintain such a dangerous double life before it violently catches up with her? Meanwhile, Carly is not a woman who simply sits back and hopes for the best. She is deeply suspicious and highly resourceful. The narrative strongly suggests that Carly is currently formulating a massive, dangerous plan to rescue Jocelyn from the perilous situation Z continues to place her in. Carly knows that as long as the agency and Z are in power, her daughter will never truly be safe. This realization is pushing Carly toward an incredibly shocking and unexpected alliance. She is realizing that she cannot fight an international intelligence agency alone. She needs someone with inside knowledge, someone ruthless, and someone who also has a vested interest in taking down Z. This is where the story takes a brilliantly dark turn, setting up a clash of titans that will shake the very foundations of Port Charles.